Hello YouTube. Let's learn something very interesting today. And I want to speak about the mysterious power in gems and minerals and how it's reflected in the ancient Slavic legends and beliefs. It's quite interesting history, but it's more than history. Ancestors of Eastern Slavic people, Belarusians, Russians, Ukrainians, and a few other people around, they believed that minerals and stones have healing and protective powers. There was an opinion that they could protect from death, ailments, damage to a person, and other things. Therefore, in Russia, gems were often mentioned in conspiracies and fairy tales. They were used in various rituals as well as in everyday life. And of course, this pertains to Ukraine, Belarus, like I said, Lithuania, some Baltic people. So it was very common in the area. Moreover, each stone had its own individual power. Basically, stones were not a cheap pleasure, so not everyone could afford them. Gems were used to decorate the clothes of rulers and clergy, as well as icons. Precious stones have always been popular with people everywhere, so the creation of jewelry is one of the oldest crafts. Moreover, their popularity and cost depended on a particular country. Somewhere a diamond was valued lower than a garnet, and in some places even lower than a coral. In previous generations, about 60 precious, semi-precious, and ornamental stones were known. However, most of them were called quite differently than they are now. At that time, healing and sometimes even magical powers were attributed to stones and metals. Superstitious people believed that some stones cured diseases and protected from adversity. So many minerals and gems were considered to be amulets, good luck charms. Healing and magical properties of stones were described in herbalist books and in books about healing in past centuries, of course. By the way, it was not uncommon to use them in everyday life, for example, to improve the quality of the crop. It was not uncommon for healers in villages to treat people with a thunderstone. There was a legend that this stone was a heavenly lightning that rushed into the earth. In Russia, for example, it was believed that thunder appeared when the Old Testament prophet Elijah flew across the sky on his fiery chariot, throwing lightning bolts at the devil himself. However, the demon was constantly hiding from Elijah. It would climb into a tree, then into a person. When lightning hit the ground, it turned into stone over time. According to scientists, people consider the found objects of ancient civilizations to be a thunderstone. For example, silicon arrowheads, fossilized mollusks, and so on. As the famous folklorist named Chulkov in Russia wrote, at first the stones were thoroughly soaked in water, and after that a person with a pain syndrome was watered with a charged liquid. Sometimes healers moved a thunderstone over painful parts of the body, believing that it could be used to dull acute pains. In ancient medical textbooks, the adamant stone, as the diamond was previously called, had this description: solid, larger than a hazelnut, does not burn in the fire, and does not collapse. People believed that it could be used to protect warriors from enemy attacks and evil forces, as well as to ward off bad dreams. The warriors wore diamonds on their heads and on guns. In addition, the mineral could even save a person's life, since it could be used to recognize the poison. To do this, it was necessary to bring the diamond to the poisoned drink of food, and then the mineral changed color or fogged up. Diamonds were also used in medicine. They were ground to a fine crumb and mixed with water. It was believed that this solution helped to cope with the royal disease, hemophilia. It is worth noting that doctors like to prescribe a solution with diamond for many ailments, naturally for those who could afford to pay for such expensive treatment. But in family life and love magic, the magnet was most popular. Now it is called magnetite. Due to its ability to attract objects to itself, the magnet was used to test the fidelity of a wife. To do this, they put the mineral under the pillow of the spouse. A faithful woman will hug her husband in a dream, and an unfaithful one will fall from the marital bed. It was also believed that if a woman carries a magnet with her, then she will be nice to her husband. Alatir was always helpful in love affairs. It was mentioned in Russian legends and folklore of the Middle Ages. He was considered to be a sacred stone endowed with healing properties and was called the father of all stones. Alatir, or Alatir, was mentioned in various conspiracies, I guess, especially those related to love spells and other love affairs. Previously, it was believed that this stone contains the vital energy of the sun, which helps to cope with many troubles and ailments. This stone was mainly used by commoners. By the way, Russian linguist Dahl wrote in his explanatory dictionary that Alatir is probably a well-known amber. That's all it is. And really, it is really one of the main contenders for the real therapeutic effect. I think you've heard about it, and we knew about it in Ukraine, in Russia, in the Baltic states. Amber is still used in the medical field, mainly for the manufacture of instruments necessary for blood transfusion, since it contains substances that do not allow blood to curdle. Earlier in fairy tales, there were often mentions of precious stones and metals that decorated the clothes, hats, and tools of the main characters. It is also often possible to find comparison of someone's appearance or objects with precious stones and metals. For example, let's see, and the nuts are not simple, and all the shells are golden, the kernels are pure emerald. This is an excerpt from the tale of King Sultan by Alexander Pushkin, the most famous Russian poet, and it goes like this. So you learn poetry today too. Look, there is a city by the shore. Have you heard the like before? Here's a wonder, though, worth telling. There's a little squirrel dwelling in a fir tree all day long. Cracking nuts, it sings a song. Nuts, most wondrous to behold. Every shell is a solid gold. Kernels, each an emerald pure. That's a wonder to be sure. By the way, earlier the emerald was called smaragd. East Slavs' ancestors believed that this stone helped treat heart diseases and mental disorders, as well as relieved epilepsy attacks. The emerald was considered a symbol of wisdom and tranquility. It protected from the evil eye and increased intuition. Therefore, it is not surprising that they were encrusted with royal regalia. It is worth noting that the effect of its magical powers occurred only when worn for a long time and without removing it. The emerald had another feature. During long communication with evil and deceitful people, it was charged with negative energy and could harm its owner. Augustite, aquamarine, also protected from the evil eye and damage. It was especially popular in Russia. There was an opinion that this stone endowed its owner with cunning and the ability to foresee the situation, which helped him or her to see evil intent in people. People also believe that if you look at it through the magnet at the light for a long time, you can develop sharp eyesight like an eagle. The same ancestors also held in high esteem a stone with a funny name Varenik, but we know it as amethyst. There is also an opinion that amethyst helps to reconcile warring people, as well as to find their way of life lost. Since this semi-precious stone was a symbol of purity of spirit, it was often used to decorate the clothes of priests and various church paraphernalia. By the way, ancient icons strewn with amethyst have come down to our days. In ancient times, metals were considered to be associated with the afterlife. Legends spoke of their ability to shine and burn, which endowed them with healing properties. They were used as a talisman in healing magic. The main noble metals were gold, silver, iron, and copper. Their processing was sacred and mysterious process because they were considered to be divine gifts. Gold was a talisman and a symbol of good luck, longevity, and well-being. Previously, on the day of their coming of age, girls were given a handkerchief with gold embroidery made of gilded threads, since it was believed that gold prolongs youth, preserves attractiveness, freshness of the face, and health. And on Maundy Thursday, or Sheer Thursday, or Thursday of Mysteries, there was a tradition to wash with water charged in silver or gold. To do this, an object made of gold or silver, for example a spoon, was previously immersed in a vessel with water. Silver was also a symbol of purity and health, since when darkened and contaminated, this metal was easy to clean. Silver was used to attract the welfare of the owners of the house and a noble harvest, and even to determine fate of a person. There was a sign among the people: if any silver object belonging to the missing person faded, then most likely she or he died or got into a life-threatening situation. Iron was valued for its resistance to evil spells and strength, which was compared with human health. So iron amulets were often made. Because of the comparison of metals with the power of otherworldly worlds, blacksmithing was considered in a sense to be like a witchcraft. Blacksmiths were held in high esteem in Eastern Europe, and they used fire to melt iron from one state to another, creating the necessary household items. I hope you learn something useful today, and if you like my research, please support me. You'll find the links in the description to this article, I should say video, and please subscribe to my channel. Please tell others, and I do want to bring you more stories about precious stones. I've learned a few things in Africa many years ago, which has nothing to do with Eastern Slavs, but has to do with very interesting people and traditions, beliefs, and much more. But that will be some other time. But I do also want to concentrate on Eurasia and its paranormal phenomena in many of its aspects. So I thank you for your attention to my work. Please tell others about my channel.